Start with Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Patrick, just a question off the football field. And I know you took to social media and made a pitch somewhat to the Toronto Raptors, but with the city yesterday now making a formal pitch, what would your sales pitch be to the Raptors to come here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Kansas City is a great spot for any franchise to be at. I mean, if you look at the support that the Royals have, the Chiefs, Sporting KC, and everyone else that plays out here, I mean, the fan base is crazy, and they love sports, and they love to be here. And if you look just down the road at Lawrence, and you see the way the Jayhawks, how they pack out that place every single week, you know that the T-Mobile Center or whatever would be a great spot for any basketball franchise to be at.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Patrick, I wanted to ask you something you said after the game. You made a reference to yourself as the young Patrick would have forced the ball down there. You remember talking about a certain play in the Denver game. And I wanted to ask you, now that you're an old man, do you think there'd be a lot of plays that you'd look back at from your earlier in your career, the first few games, and say, boy, I wouldn't do that now? Or do you think there wouldn't be a lot of plays like that? And Brad, I'll have one quick follow-up too.
Yeah, well, to answer your question, I think there's plays when I watch back. I mean, you watch back games of me playing early in my career. There's some throws that I wouldn't have made because they were dumb decisions at the time. But there's some throws that I hope that I still do make. And so it's kind of playing with that fine line of being aggressive as you possibly can, but not being overly aggressive. And so I try to look back on every experience and learn from it. And I think there's a lot of positive, as long as some negatives that I can learn from.
Okay. And on the second matter, the Jets showed some interest in you when you were coming out in the draft. If I'm not mistaken, you went up there for a visit before the draft. They had one of the top 10 picks that year. Did you feel like they were serious? Did you feel like there was a significant chance you might be going to New York?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought there was interest there. I mean, whenever you get on those visits, you know that they're pretty interested in doing their due diligence. So, I mean, I definitely thought there was interest there, but at the time, they drafted a great player in Jamal Adams, and I mean, you can't really argue with that one.
Let's go next to Dave Scretta. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Pat, this is sort of an oddball question too, but I'm curious who cleaned the paint off your dog's feet on that gender reveal, and then kind of more importantly, why is it important for you to put yourself out there for your fans and the public away from the field, and your fiance too, for that matter?
Yeah, well, the paint, it was like this water-based paint, I guess, that they got that was very easy to clean, and it didn't affect the dogs. You know, Brittany's pretty mom-like already with those dogs, so she don't want anything happening to them that way. And then for me, it's just being who I am, and I want people to show that I'm just a normal guy, just like everybody else. I just get to play football for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm a pretty normal guy off the field.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Patrick. So obviously with the records, you guys have a way better record right now than the New York Jets. Just what ways are you staying on top of guys as the loudest voice to make sure, we don't overlook this game?
I think people understand that in this league, you can't overlook anybody. I mean, if you watch the tape and don't look at the record, you understand that this is a good football team. It's a team where a lot of guys are making a lot of plays, and they have a lot of guys that have made plays in other spots and other teams. And so you understand that it's going to be a great challenge for us, and we have to go out there and play our best football if we want to win. And I think that's not an overstatement. That's just true and how this league works.
Let's go next to Darren Smith. Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, Patrick. First of all, congratulations on you and Tyron getting people registered to vote and getting Arrowhead as a polling location. But I had a question for you, then I have a follow-up. But have you had a chance to get out and vote yet, or do you plan on doing that on election day? And then also, what does success look like for you and Tyron with what you all did? Then again, I have a follow-up.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks. And then second off, I have gotten to vote, and I got to send my vote in, absentee voting, and everything like that. And then I think for us to have success is to continue to move forward. We actually are going to be able to meet with Mark here either this week or this next week, and to continue to strive to get more Black-owned businesses the support that they need. And I think it's to continue to get the conversation going up until election day, and then even past that with different things that we can help out the community with. And so, I mean, having as many people vote is obviously the first step of right now, how important this election is. But the next step is to continue to help out our community and help out the people that need the help the most.
And I'm glad you said it, because that was where I was going with in regards to everything happening for a reason. We had the economy, the country shut down due to COVID. We saw what happened to George Floyd. Obviously, you got a chance to speak out in support of Black Lives Matter. Wondering if that hadn't happened, if you would have had the ripple effect that we got right now with you supporting that, you doing the voting thing. Again, as you mentioned, post November 3rd, what is the, how do you plan to continue to utilize your voice and your platform to affect change, not only in the African-American community, but as a community at whole, of which you are a part of?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is keeping the conversation going and then going out and taking action. And I think with this meeting that we're gonna have with Mark, he's already had a lot of great ideas that he's learned from people in the community that are out there firsthand making change happen. And we'll be able to, as the Chiefs, as an organization, go in with our players and do whatever we can to help improve and impact those communities and help out as many people as possible.
We got time for a couple more guys. We'll go Nate Taylor and then Seren Petro. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Patrick. We all know that Travis leads the league right now in terms of receiving yards for tight ends, but I'm wondering, when you watch the tape of your teammate, just what comes to mind beyond just catching the football in the receiving yards?
Yeah, I mean, he does it all. I think you've seen it more and more as we haven't had Sherm these last few weeks. He's really stepped up blocking and being that kind of guy, blocking from the backfield and doing stuff like that. And he's hard for defense to account for. And so when you have guys like Tyreek and Trav and these guys that can get mismatches for other guys, it helps out the entire offense. And I think that stuff whenever you don't see these huge receiving yards, some games, you don't understand how much they're impacting the game by being the players that they are.
Let's go last to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Patrick, I know you've talked a lot about taking what the defense gives you. That's been kind of a theme in how teams have been playing you. And you just said earlier that, there's some throws there that, you hope you'll make, right? The bad ones you want to get away with, but, there's some throws that are there. How much do you remind yourself? Is it a process of like, now's the time to take some risk? Like, we're down, which you haven't been down much this year, obviously, but now's the time to take risk versus like maybe having to settle yourself down and remind yourself that, hey, we're up big, or, everything's going well. How much is there like an internal conversation about risk reward?
I think it's before every single drive and it's before every single play. You have to know how the game flow is. If you have momentum in your favor, if you have a big league, or if it's a tight football game, and you have to make those decisions, split-second decisions, and decide if you want to take that risk or if you want to take the check down and just try to do whatever you can to keep the chains moving. And it's a battle that I have with my nature. I want to throw it and take the risk every single time. But games like the other day when we were up a lot of points, you've got to realize that you don't have to take that risk whenever your defense is playing like they are, special teams are doing what they do. And so whenever we get in these tight situations, I'm sure I'll be able to take the risk and be able to flip it right back around.